Okay, welcome back to Daily Driven Alpha. Today we've decided to take the Project Cars Burman steering box and clean it up, giving it a bit of a soda blast and pressure washed it down and started to disassemble it. But what we thought we'd do today is, as we've started to disassemble it, just for those of you who've never seen inside one of these before, just give you a little bit of a look at this sort of breakdown so you have a bit of an understanding of what you're looking at. This first plate here is under a little bit of pressure because it's got a spring behind it. So just be mindful of that as you take it apart. You can see in here we've also got a series of shims. Now these are steel shims, and there is a paper gasket there, and you'll see with the actual gasket kit you get two paper gaskets. You get one for here and one on the flip side of the steel plate. Oops, sorry, a bit out of focus. That sits on the top of that. Shims sit between that. So just be mindful of those shims as you start to disassemble it. This spring hasn't got anything else other than the steel plate that sits underneath there. This is actually part of the steering box, and I guess it provides a little bit of pressure back into the box for it to rotate on. Little plastic plug, just be mindful of these. We punched it out we took the plate off first, then punched it out. I think if I try to use a screwdriver to lift it out, I may have cracked or broken it. It's fairly old and brittle, but has you might be able to see, it has a slight groove in it, and that clips into a bead that's on this plate itself. You've got two of these bolts that have got nuts associated with it that sit underneath here, and then you've got these two nuts that sit that go into the actual body itself. This plate then just lifts straight off, and you'll notice that there's a paper gasket sitting there. So here inside, here's your worm gear. These are the ball bearings. Lots of forums talk about ad infinitum, and these provide the rotation for your worm gear to operate down at the bottom of that base there. Your lube sits in there, and we're going to replenish all this. There's a Penrite steering box lube, an Australian made product. It's very good, and we use all the Penrite oils as we're rebuilding because they're excellent, and because we like supporting our Australian made producers. At the bottom here you'll notice that you've got another plate, and it also has some shims sitting there. These are just 13mm bolts. Once again, Alfa love using 13mm, 13, 17, 19, and you'll see this wire here running through is actually your wire that goes through for power to your horn. Runs all the way up through here, comes out the end of here, and then connects to the actual steering wheel itself. Now as you pull this out, you'll notice we've got some shims there, metal shims, and here we have a paper gasket. And you have a rod that goes through, and it's running up into the actual steering column itself. Only goes a short way, and the wire comes with it. And now I'm just going to keep pulling that wire out completely, and there you can see your ball bearings and the grease sitting in that race area here. Now this is just a flat plate that sits in here, and we'll clean all this up and replace that. So there you see these thin metal shims, and watch them because you may think that they're one, but they're quite fine, and you'll split them apart. gives you an idea of, oops, gives you an idea of, oh, and there's another one there, look at that. And you'll see, as we're doing this, there's another one. It's very, very fine. Actually, I've got to be really careful here that I don't bend them, but there'll be another paper gasket there for sure. Right, so just be mindful of those. So that's the bottom end there. Top, we've got replacement gaskets here, we've got replacement paper gaskets there. Watch those shims, be very careful not to bend or damage them. You may have issues when you tighten them back down. I'm leaving this well alone. We're not going to pull this apart. There's no point really. What we're trying to do here is clean up everything, change all the oil in the box, and just inspect it, make sure that everything's functioning okay, which it seems to be, and there's no damage in there. Also having a look at the casing itself. If people have used the car for racing, these boxes get a lot of pressure on them from larger diameter wheels and race pressure, and they have been known to crack, so hard to see though. But if you find that you've got leaks, etc., and you're not sure, have a good look around the complete steering box and see whether or not there's any cracking. But at this stage for us, we think it's okay. So really, there's another small job. Lots of small jobs in restoring the Alfas, but we're just taking our time, doing each piece nicely, slowly, doing it correctly, and then we'll slowly put the car back together. So Burman steering box. Hope you've enjoyed watching that.